Hello, everyone. We are live again. Today is June 15th, 2020, and we are here to speak to one more of our amazing speakers that is coming into our Expand Your Influence event in Winnipeg, September 19 and 20 this year, 2020. We are so excited that we are going to be hosting a live event. I have a funny feeling it may be the event of the decade of the year for sure in Winnipeg. And whether we're going to be leading the way or not, I'm really excited that we will be getting together in person. And I'm so excited Catherine's here and you're going to be talking about that. And I do want the listeners, many of you are people that are already attending the event or thinking of coming, a little bit about who Catherine is. So Catherine Saykaly-Stevens. Did I say it right, Catherine?
Close enough.
You can correct me. Catherine, I've known Catherine now for about 5 years, I think.
So, yeah.
Yes, and we have been connecting on and off, in person, online, oh my gosh, through all the media ways that's possible. And that's Catherine's sweet spot. She is a digital marketing, social media, an omni-channel strategist with the networking web. And what Catherine does is, I love this. She leads frustrated business owners, and speakers to understand that social media likes don't pay the bills. Boy, can I ever, relate to that. And that the key to converting sales online and attracting new clients and growing audiences is in creating well-defined strategies that are in alignment with our business goals. And I would say also our authentic messaging as well, and who we are as a person, and what is our programs and products. And I've heard you talk about this, and I know we're going to expand on that a little bit more. With over 25 years experience, Catherine really simplifies the digital marketing. And she's got a 5-step process that she will be presenting in Winnipeg at the live event. So to get started, hello, Catherine.
Hello, Jackie.
Yes. So Catherine, you're coming from, you're in Calgary.
Yes, I am.
Yes. What's it like in Calgary right now today?
It's beautiful. I took a walk this morning. The lilac blossoms are out. It's lovely.
Oh my gosh. I love this time. This is really my favorite time of year. And for those of you in Winnipeg, you will know that right now, and I'm looking outside over my computer, that we're having a bit of a windstorm, which is to me kind of nature's way of, spreading the seeds, planting this, the concept of seeding is coming to mind, the metaphor of that. And isn't that what you do? You help entrepreneurs seed.
I do. And to carry the metaphor forward, that wind is like a sweeping gale of spreading your message far and wide. Those seeds aren't just going to fall to the ground and an inch or two in either direction. Those seeds are being taken. The pollen is going far, and it's going to spread the message, spread the tree, and the possibility of that tree taking off and growing someplace completely far away.
My whole body is tingling because I'm getting these images of seeds planting and plants sprouting. And then when you mention a tree, well, a tree roots itself, and sometimes for multiple lifetimes. So I just get so tingly and excited about the work that you do and how important it is. So I wanted to get started with you sharing, because it's a story I've never heard. How did you get started in your business?
Oh my goodness. So I have attempted many different things. One thing I should share with you, and it's well known for people who know me, I'm a severe dyslexic. So taking on simple tasks are sometimes much more difficult for other dyslexics than something more complex, because that's how our brain works. And to think about it, if you ask a question, your brain formulates an answer, and it should be question is A, answer is B, and it should be a straight line. But we don't get a straight line quick answer from dyslexics unless you're trained to speak that way. Your brain goes in this line that goes everywhere, and it takes longer to get to the end, but it pulls all this other information with it. That's a really interesting analogy to just think of the dyslexic. So just like I'm taking a little longer to answer this question, it pulls so much more information. So again, a simple task had so many different opportunities that it just made working for the government, and so sorry to the Natural Resources Canada, but it just made it very difficult because of the type of work that I was doing there. But programming is something I found early, actually in high school, and I enjoyed it, but it never occurred to me that that's someplace I should be. And I tried different programs. I was in biology, I was in, wasn't philosophy, but it was the general English and the arts. But oh my gosh, when I got into programming and computers before the internet was the internet, that's when I felt very comfortable. And with the other minds that were like that, they were, again, mostly male back then, but women were coming into it, just loved the way our minds thought, different ways of coming together. And every couple of years, something new would be on. We had Freenet, we had the internet, we had websites, we had searches, we had, MySpace before there was Facebook. And all of this was exciting to be part of it when it was new. So it just made a natural progression. The difference is it's not, once a year there's something new. Now it's every day. Things are happening faster and faster. But I love hearing about it. And it is overwhelming, even for me now. But now that we have created these networks, I can go and ask somebody because that's their expertise. We don't need to know everything anymore. We just need to know our area. And then from there, speak to others, find out from them, collaborate with them, and then we all benefit.
Oh, I love that. And again, I got another image of the, first of all, I want to say that what you described to me is that you are very creative, as you are, pulling from all these other ideas and not being, if you will, stuck in one way of thinking about things. So that to me really appeals to me. I think that's really a certain type of mastery. And I get this image of you in a group of people who may have similar sort of thinking processes and very creative with a lot of ideas that you can go to and bounce ideas off. Exactly. And share different things, and that spark that happens between individuals when those discussions occur with random thoughts all allowed.
Yes.
That sounds like a really sweet space to me. I honestly love that, where conversations are going off on tangents and it's okay.
And returns.
But to allow that thought process to grow and expand and allow it to go where it wants to go. I love that.
Let me just add how important it is to also have the people who think A to B, straight line, because they're the ones who help us get it done. They're the ones that say, okay, we've got enough. Let's hone it in. And then we all change focus. And now it's about implementing what we've created. So it's just a wonderful time to be an entrepreneur. It's a wonderful time to think business, because today there are so many tools and resources to help us. People who want to collaborate, we're moving out of the competition age into the collaboration age, and so much more is being accomplished.
It is I agree with you. And, I think what we're describing here as well is possibly an avatar for the average entrepreneur. Many entrepreneurs are very ideas driven, and they love new things, and they like to do things differently. And so to have someone like you in their back pocket to help them hone in, to stay focused, and you can understand them as well in terms of how they come to the table with all these ideas, oh my gosh, and 10 things that they want to do. And we've had a little chat before this call about the squirrel complex, right? Which I certainly did. So I think we've gotten really started talking about what's important about the type of work that you do in the space of social media. Can you expand about right now, because you did address that right now, a lot of things are changing. What's important about that space?
I think the first thing is to just acknowledge and sit with a moment. Things are changing, and everything that you're about to do right now is going to look very different even in 6 months.
Mhm.
And that's scary to a lot of people because, oh my goodness, I just took a course, or I just redid everything and it's going to change. But that's okay, because as you release the material onto social media, as you monitor it, and oh yes, you must monitor it, you're going to see what is working and what continues to work, and where it starts to not work anymore. So that is going to help you decide when it's time to make changes. As there are new tools out in the market, sometimes an old tool has been very good to you, but there are better tools out on the market. And if you just remove yourself from the old tool just a little while, really learn the new tool, or hire somebody who understands that new tool to help you integrate it into your business, you might find that it happens that much faster. Over time, it's less money, and it really simplifies your whole process.
I love that. I love that concept of put aside the old tool while you learn the new one. I have a tendency to, I've got the old tool still going. I'm trying to learn the new one. And I have this thing in my brain that I'm going to somehow bridge the two at some point. Your suggestion makes so much more sense.
There are occasions when you can just branch it, but if you always know, oh well, I can just keep doing it the wrong, or not the wrong way, sorry, I can still keep doing it the way I always have, you might miss out on what is so much better, easier when you let it go.
Yeah, because it will eat up, brain space, time, energy, focus. So I get a sense that you really help entrepreneurs get really clear, not only about what we're going to talk about in a minute in regards to the messaging, which I do want to bring up, also the processes and the applications, if you will, that
Absolutely.
support the messages. So can you share now about that messaging piece?
Yes. There is probably nothing more important than understanding your message. It is the seed, if you will. And that seed has a genetic makeup to know that when it's received enough light, enough water, it's in good ground, it's going to sprout. But if you don't know that you've got your water, your ground, and enough light, you can put your message out there, and just like the seed, without those components, it could crack open, it might sprout a bit, and then it will die.
Or a bird will come in.
Yeah, just taking the analogy a little farther, but the same thing can happen to your idea. If you released it in a hostile environment, it may not take, but it's the perfect idea. It's the perfect message. Or is it? Is it where your audience is? So what if your audience is the light, and without your audience to shine on it, that message has nowhere to go, nowhere to sprout. So is your message crystal clear? Is it working with your target audience? Are you where your target audience needs to be? Are you in soil? Or is your message out in a completely different area where your target market is across the ways? They're in a completely different social media channel than where you are, because you heard that where you should be has worked for others, but it's not necessarily for you. It's not where your audience is. And that's at any time. You can stop yourself and ask, hey, where is my audience? Where's my audience today? Where's my audience right now? Is there something happening live online that I should be attending because there's a Twitter chat going on where everyone who is my target audience is actually in? And some of you are thinking, what's a Twitter chat? And that is exactly, not even thinking that piece. It's just, hey, what's a Twitter chat? Why? How would I know that my audience is there? Those are all smaller pieces that if you just know about these pieces, you can ignore many of the other pieces and just focus on that one that's going to work for you right here, right now.
I am so excited to learn from you. Facebook has kind of been my space that I have a fairly deep understanding, certainly not at all considering myself an expert. I do know I have lots to learn, which is really exciting about Twitter and LinkedIn as well. And depending on where is the customer, where are they, and how are they? We don't have time to go too deep right now, but as you know, some people are sitting at a computer at their desk. Some people have their mobile phone and they're walking in a park. And so there's what platform is going to reach them, so that's for a whole nother discussion. Another question that I wanted to bring up with you, because I think it would be a little bit fun, especially for those that are listening. And by the way, I see Michelle Bateman is on the line. Hello,
Hey, Michelle.
Yes. And Lisa May. Hello, Lise. Lise is one of our attendees coming in September as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Please come and say hello.
Well, that was the bridge that I want to chat about. And by the way, Michelle Bateman's online, and she is also one of our speakers who we're going to be interviewing. But I don't want to take away from this right now. Oh my gosh, my thought, and I had shared this with you, Catherine, is that we will do one of these calls with 5 or 6 speakers on it and have a little bit longer discussion. Wouldn't that be great? And so your comment about connecting, and one of the things I shared with you is that I'm going to be putting a component into the live event in September, the 19th and 20th. So those of you listening, if you haven't yet got your ticket, we're about half sold out. So there's still a lot of tickets left, and I know that it's going to be a full sellout. So that's just one more thing that we want to mention, that we will post a link for people to do that. And that's going to be so exciting. Is at the event, I'm going to be putting together a Meet the Experts, and where the attendees will be able to sit at a table with each of the speakers. But you added to that. You added something else about, that networking and the connection that goes on beyond sitting in the chair and observing and watching the speaker speak, having the opportunity to sit with them one-on-one for a period of time and ask questions and have that smaller, intimate talk. But you also had another way that the attendees are going to be able to connect with the speakers. Can you share about that?
It is wonderful to be online. And you know what? We've all, whether we wanted to or not, some of us were forced to be online for the last 9 weeks now. But here's my philosophy when it comes to social media and online events. You must do both. And if you really want to make deep connections at a faster rate, there is nothing like meeting someone online, but solidifying that relationship, because it is all about building relationships at a live event. So for the attendees, you're about to find accountability partners, collaboration partners, people who you can use as a sounding board for all the things you do, even if you don't live, and Jackie's event is in Winnipeg, but even if you don't live in Winnipeg, the fact that you meet in person there means that when you do go back to online, you have a connection that is much, much deeper. Now, if you happen to be in Winnipeg, then you can get together and have like monthly accountability moments and present to each other. But here's the other thing when it comes to the presenters, and you have a wonderful lineup of presenters. Michelle, I cannot wait to see your presentation. I know some of the other people that are coming, they are all experts in their field, and you're going to learn so much while they are on stage training you. But the conversation that you're going to have at the table, you're going to have an opportunity to have questions, not just your question and their answer, but that collaboration piece around the table that you can then have the other people who sat with you, heard what you said, heard what the trainer said. And then even while the trainer has left, again, with the collaboration partners of those that are there, it is a much more deep, fulfilling purpose when other people understand where you're coming from.
Oh, I love that. I hadn't thought about the deep connections and the collaboration that happens amongst the attendees during the event and long after, now that we're getting so used to connecting online. Oh my gosh, thank you for that reminder as well. So Catherine, I have one final question to ask you. And it's kind of a 3-part question.
Okay.
And maybe you have more answers, but I was curious. If you were to hear the ideal question asked of you from one of your clients, from someone at an event you're speaking at, and I know you do a lot of speaking in on stage, and you do online webinars as well. And so if someone was to ask you a question, what would be your, oh, I'm so glad you asked me that question?
Oh, goodness. That's such a good question to ask. What would be the perfect question? I'm going to have to deflect that, is that there are no perfect questions. And it's the question that you're afraid to ask.
Oh.
That's the one you want to ask, because you may not get the answer that you were expecting, and you may not get an answer that you hope for, but it's the answer you need to hear because you finally asked that question out loud. And again, I'm sorry to do the accountability thing, but again, when other people hear you ask, it's either something that you're going to implement into everything that you do, or now that you've talked about it, it's okay. It's a piece for later, or it's a piece you had to consider, but it's almost like a journey, if you will, of something you had to go through to get what you actually need on the other side. Mm-hmm. And that question is either you're about to cross the other side, or it's leading you through to get to the other side. So don't be afraid to ask, no matter how crazy, because there are no stupid questions. It's my philosophy. There are no stupid questions. There are just questions you don't know the answer to yet.
Yeah. Well, I like what your response. Good deflect. Where you said, ask the question that you're, I think you said afraid to ask.
Afraid to ask.
Ask the question that you're afraid to ask.
Many people think technology-wise, because typically I don't talk about people's, their inner journey and how they get there. While that's part of their story, it's more technical, but people are so afraid because they might sound stupid, or they might feel like, oh, it's going to make me look like such an amateur. Forget it. Yeah. Ask the question. There are probably people in that same audience who also want to hear the answer, and you have got to get to the other side. Ask the question.
and I've seen you speak, to wrap this up, Catherine, I've seen you speak on really big stages. I've seen you speak in backyard barbecue events. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you speak here in Winnipeg, September 19th and 20th this year. We're at the Residence Inn Marriott Hotel. And I am just wanting to thank you so much for coming on to this interview, letting everyone know a little bit about you. And also what I will do once we get this posted, I think it's live now. So if you were to want people to reach out to you, if you were wanting the attendees or anyone listening and watching to send you a like or a connection, what would be that platform? Where's your sweet spot? And where would you love for them to send you an invite to connect?
I love most platforms out there, and it's wonderful. But honestly, LinkedIn. Catherine Saykaly-Stevens. On LinkedIn, that's where you're going to find me, and just send me a note, say hello, and I look forward to seeing you in Winnipeg to ask and answer any questions you have. And Jackie, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great, wonderful day seeding as we go. I've got that metaphor, and now I'm thinking about maybe planting some seeds today.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Catherine. Bye.